welcome at first. I think we can start directly. One question that was asked at first, and this is, I think, one of the most frequent questions we get is, how do we get from point A to point B? So how do we get from this system to the other system? I already tried to explain it. Maybe you can add some words to it.
Yeah, it's really, although we've been around for a long time, we haven't had that much exposure. And it's just the last few years when people have begun to learn about Jacque's work. And it takes a lot of education, takes learning about it, and then introducing it to others. That's the most important thing right now. Because we do not have access to media or money, or we have no power. So if enough people know about this, this is our security.
Englisch oder soll ich übersetzen?
English. My name is Marie. Hello.
Hi, Marie.
I already asked one of the organizers here at New Jack City what you will do about for realizing your project in terms of education, because personally I think that a project like this to be realized takes over hundreds of years, right, on this broad of a scale? No?
It just takes exposure.
Right, but I'm asking if you already are starting to build schools or institutions that help educate about this type of idea and project.
What we're doing is we have no outside funding. What we do is we put our funds into it. We make our own books, we make our own videos. We have to sell them because we make them ourselves, and this helps us continue doing more work. We have made videos, we have, we're always adding to it, so we have about 36 hours of audio and videotapes of lectures of Jacque speaking on different topics related to a resource-based economy and a totally different value system. We have movies that we're working on now. We have had many other people do movies about the Venus Project, which has made it very popular. So we're just, however we can, we are trying to put it out there. There are some universities that are showing our films, that are using the discussion about a resource-based economy in their classes, but it takes educating the professors about it and having them see something about it. So the more exposure we have, the more people who are talking about it, the more people who are doing books and videos and magazines about the subject, but who are knowledgeable about it, the better. So that's why Jacque always says it's up to what you do, because we work at it all the time. We work at it 7 days a week and we put all our money into it. So it really depends on how much other people are interested, how much they identify with it, how much they understand the significance of it and feel that it might solve the problems and work at it.
Thank you very much. I really wanted to know how to learn more about that myself. Thank you.
One of my questions is would arise. The last weeks I was looking for different communities worldwide who are coming together for special kind of philosophies, ideas, and I always see, I met also a few of them, and I see that if it goes over a few of people, how difficult it is to keep a common spirit, that not everyone's going against each other. And so to me, to see this worldwide project, what you do, what your idea is, how to have a common spirit, yes, a common spirit, and the people are not going against each other. Yeah.
I'm going to translate this. Could you understand that? Yeah, Jacque is very hard of hearing, so I'm going to tell him, I'm sorry I have to repeat it a second time. But she was saying that she's just been recently looking at, and if I get it wrong, let me know. Yeah. She's been looking at communities, and they end up essentially fighting with one another. And how do you keep the common direction and common cause?
Just by explaining what you know about the Venus Project. If you don't know enough about it, look it up before you even answer questions.
Usually when communities come together and they're building and they're doing things, then they don't bicker with each other. But when they stop building their community, and that's when their values get in the way. The Venus Project is different because it has a very specific direction. It's an endless pursuit. And the more people know about this new value system, because when you learn about it more, it's all encompassing. And it also encompasses how to get along with people, and not the ways that are presented today, but really understanding why people behave the way they do.
I would suggest that you read the book. It's called The Best Money Can Buy. And when you read it chapter by chapter with your group, they will understand the entire picture. But if you don't read that and discuss it, you can't ask the appropriate questions.
Okay, thank you.
Look into it more, you get a better understanding of why we behave the way we do, why we bicker with one another, and how to avoid that, and understand the direction more so.
I earlier said to this question that I think that no organization that I've seen up to now did take into account all the problems that we have. You know, Jacque spent his whole life on creating this, and I think it's the most sophisticated collection of ideas to make the world a better place. And I would say that most of the communities that I saw up to now are doing things in a very limited field, you know. So they either have they want to do something for nature, or they want to do something for social things, but it's rarely that the real compound of all problems that we have are taken into account. So I think this is also one of the major causes why most of the communities we see in this world today do not really work in the long run. So would you agree to this, Jacque and Roxanne?
Yes, and the most important thing is that it does encompass a very different way of thinking and a very different value system. Because if you took the people today, if we built the city, and you took the people of today with the same value system and you moved them in, you'd have the same problems with the way they think.
One question here is, what will incentivize people in the future? I think it was a pretty good answer by Jacque in the Paradise of Vivian. So he said, if people have everything and they have no challenges, this is where it goes to fun, you know?
What would give people challenges, or what would be the incentive in the future? Do you want to take that?
Yeah, there's always unanswered questions. There's always problems to be solved. You will never be able to design the best city. You can only design the best city you know. But 10 years from now, it'll be different. Nothing can be utopian. You will never reach a final frontier. I hope you know what I mean by that.
You know, they tell you today, and don't let them give you that, really, that the only incentive is money. You know, they've flattened people out so much that they've taken their interests away. Because a lot of kids grow up and they have interests in everything, but then they have to narrow it down in order to get a job and make money and get the things that they need. So if kids have a good education, then they have incentive to solve the problems, and they don't have to do it just in the pursuit of money or self-interest. It would generate, the education would generate a very different type of person. And, you know, most people, when they do things, they don't do it for money. They do it because they're interested in solving the problem. Like Martin Luther King didn't march on Washington to get his head bashed in because somebody was putting $50,000 in a Swiss bank account for him. He did it because he believed in what he was doing. And that's true with so many people. And whether they get money or not, it doesn't stop them from doing things if they have interests in life.
People will always be inquisitive. They will always redesign things and make them better. And that's what you've got to understand. We teach people how to relate to one another, how to speak with more significant language. We educate people on how to live with nature and how to get along with other people, not attack them. You can't educate people when you attack their beliefs, but you can expose their beliefs by giving them information that counteracts the belief system that they have. That's the best you can do.
Thank you very much. I also said earlier to this that you already had encounters with, for example, the people in Abu Dhabi. For example, I think there were other examples too, where you met people that at first seemed to be interested in your ideas to implement them, but then later on they just wanted to push their ego, for example, and build a city with nice architecture. And this was also one of the problems that you encountered in the way that you went. Is that right?
You might have been thinking we were in Dubai. Nothing went through. There was somebody interested in Abu Dhabi, but nothing really developed there. But we did go to Dubai with an invitation from a corporation. It was part of the Saudi royal family, but they had a corporation there. They saw Jacque on TV, and they wanted. We negotiated for a long time to do a city, a theme park, and a research center, but it didn't go through. That corporation eventually got kicked out of Dubai, so I guess it was a good thing it didn't. So that was our situation there. But we haven't met too many major politicians recently. Jacque had in the past, but nothing went through. So, we're always trying.
And we have to wait until we arrive at a condition that's so bad and unemployment where the government can't work things out, and they'll call upon us. But they have to fail first. That goes for everything. Anything you do, if you don't work it out, it won't work. In other words, we have a method of solving problems. And the politicians will not listen to us until their system fails, and they say, how would you handle that? Then we're open to suggestion.
Thank you very much. Okay. There was, sorry, 1 second. How long do you think, how long do you think would it take for the whole world to implement this vision in their minds? So not only technically building it, but for people to grasp it. Understand?
It depends on our media control. If we can control the media, the news, the newspapers, propaganda, the television shows and radio shows, it would take a few months, that's all. It doesn't take very long to change people. What we have no control over is the media, where you do. And if you can present the Venus Project after you learn about it on the media, you can turn people around very fast. You call the media and you say, how about having a representative of the Venus Project on the air? You always have to do that. You have to call the media, you have to call universities and say, all I hear from is military people. I haven't heard any other solutions. Why don't you have a representative of the Venus Project on to present what that is? If you don't do that, they won't learn anything. In other words, the man that invented the electric light, if it's Edison, he had to come up with a source of light that was different than the kerosene lamp. And he had to explain exactly how that worked, otherwise people wouldn't even know about it. So people that come up with new ideas always have to explain to people who know nothing about it what the new idea is about. And you can't have people who know nothing about the Venus Project talk about it.
Hello. You mentioned Edison, and I have a personal question for you both. What do you think of Nikola Tesla?
I thought he was a great man, but people didn't understand it. He was so far ahead of his time that he was not even understood too well. And the trouble with people is they think in terms of money and investment. What can Tesla do that can make me lots of money? They don't think in terms of benefiting human beings. In the future, the Venus Project's major concern is to elevate every human being to their highest potential, regardless of race, color, or creed, regardless of nation. We hope to bring nationalism to an end. That is, all nations become one and take good care of one another, the environment, and the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there's another question.
Vielleicht ist es ein bisschen schräg geworden.
Orange.
Hello, Jacque. Hello, Roxanne. I met you at the last tour in Munich when you were on the Venus project tour, and it's a pleasure to talk to you again. My question is, how are things going with Peter, who in the first place was really pushing the Venus project ideas? How are the vibrations? Is there? I mean, this is a thing of networking. Are you guys still doing stuff together, or are you talking to each other?
We are talking to each other. We're two separate groups. We are not working together. There are many Zygites members who help the Venus Project, which is great, and I'm sure the other way around. So we just felt that it's best to control the work and the direction and ideas of the Venus Project through the person who arrived at those ideas than with somebody else who was taking it in different directions and really was not cooperative. So it became something else, and we just needed to decide what we wanted to do with the project and how it should be handled, how it should be presented.
Peter pointed out the shortcomings of our country, the banks, the investment banking, all that sort of thing, which was very good. But he did not provide the answer. What do you do about it? That's the question. The question always is, what do you do about it? How can you change things? Not point out the shortcomings. If you don't know of a possible solution, you leave people in midair. If I say I don't like the subway system, but I don't tell people what it is that I don't like about it, they can't think about it.
And I think
The Zygites movement was advocating in terms of a solution came from the Venus Project, but it wasn't, as I mentioned, it wasn't being worked on together where the movement should go and what it should do or advocate, or so we pulled out. It wasn't representing us.
At the time.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to add something. I learned about the Venus Project by the Zeitgeist movement. This is where I first joined. And then when the team split up, I directly joined the Venus Project. And I think that from this perspective, it was like 1.5 years ago that this split came about. And I think from this perspective and from my work that I did up to now, I think it was a good decision to do this, because we are now much more focused on the things that the Venus Project wants to suggest. And before, we always had the problems of different people going into different directions that then weren't the Venus Project. So this was one of the main reasons for this split, I think.
I just want to repeat something. I just want to repeat the fact that you sent for the book, The Best That Money Can Buy. It gives you a complete overview of the Venus Project.
Yes, thank you for answering all the questions, but I really want to say, ask you, is there enough room in this whole project, in this whole Venus project, to get all these different kinds of peoples, wherever they come from, all together? Is it covering every, if psychological, different, whatever, is it covering everything? Can you think that everything will be satisfied by that?
No, not everything. Everything we know of up to now.
Okay.
In the future, we will learn more and modify our thinking.
You know, no matter what religious belief they have or philosophical beliefs people have or traditions or customs, everybody needs clean air, clean water, arable land, relevant education, a nurturing environment.
And that's what we deal with. We only deal with the things that people need, not questions like what's the nature and purpose of life. Those are philosophical questions.
That's right.
Our answers deal with how to relate to other people, how to share ideas, how to innovate and change things, how to reach people that have very different ways of thinking. It goes into all those methods.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I would also totally agree that the Venus project is the most complete system that takes into account most of these aspects. Okay, I think we are through. If there aren't any more questions, we already saw the 12 paragraphs of giving, and I think most questions were answered. I look in the round again, there's no hand up. So I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Roxanne. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, we both wanted to thank you, Daniel, and everything that Torch has done and everything that, I know you had other people that helped, you know, with the posters and the events, and we just really appreciate all your work and everybody that came to see the film and the other presentations. I know we were supposed to have more and more videos, but we lost the monitors, which was a real shame with all the work people did to do subtitles and everything. But we really appreciate everything you're doing to present this there. And a special thanks to Sasha as well.
Thank you very much. I would like to give this thank back to you because without you we wouldn't have the opportunity to stand here today and we have all these great ideas in our mind. So all thanks back to you, Jacque and Roxanne. Maybe Sasha wants to say some words again?
Yeah.
Hi, Sasha.
First of all, hello to you. I don't know if you see me right now, so let's say Tinky Winky from here.
Good to see. Thank you for everything.
And we appreciate very much to have you here. And it was great to make it possible in only 3 months with the whole team here sitting over there. And yeah, we hope to realize future things together. And I think the audience is also overwhelmed by this happening what was made here. So thank you for being here, and because the association here is called Jacque in the Box, I came to this conclusion that we are happy now to have Jacque in the Box.
I think Jacque's really out of the box.
Okay, thank you.
So much a good discussion. Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.